Welcome to Three Takes. I'm Ishana.
I'm Minali.
I'm Mona.
Three women.
Three generations.
One family, unpacking the questions we all ask.
Hey guys, what's up?
You guys know that I see a career coach or a career mentor like once a month. This past week, our meeting was really focused on how to say no, because some of the leadership have really wanted me to take on added responsibilities, which unfortunately I just don't have the time for. So we came up with strategies on how to say no, which is really hard for me.
Oh, that's really interesting because even today I had a meeting with one of the organization I'm helping as a business coach to rethink their mentorship program. And one of the things we were working on building a strong mentor.
Well, I had no mentorship meeting, so you guys have already had a more productive day than me. But I think that actually brings up a really good question on what is a good mentor? And I think that's something we should reflect and talk about.
Well, I think part of it, we should say, Ishana, like you're almost graduating too. So,
Oh, that's true. I'm like senioritis, no
Yeah.
mentorship meeting. I'm just like living on the edge right now.
No, but that's interesting. What was your meeting about, Mama?
No, so actually we were really helping them to rethink their mentoring program. So they started a mentorship program, but then it was really falling apart because there was no formal program, how the mentor should be, what are the things a good mentor should have it so they really can empower and help mentees grow. So it was really interesting. And we were talking about what are some of the traits or some of the good qualities people have in their life as a good mentor. So we were really discussing that. So that was really interesting to see how people were reflecting and bringing different aspects about what made that particular person a good mentor.
The very first thing that comes to mind, is actually a perspective piece that I read in the New England Journal of Medicine by Dr. Susan Coven, who's actually one of my mentors. But in the piece, it literally asks, what is a good mentor? And there were two things that I think really stood out for me in that piece was, one, she talks about how a good mentor should be able to imagine more for yourself than what you could. Mm-hmm. And the second part is, when you leave a meeting with a mentor, you should feel like your opportunities have broadened and opened rather than narrowed. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
For me, first, I think it would be maybe good to talk about what positive mentorship experience we've had and what traits we've noticed from them. Because I think to Mama's point, when she was talking about her meeting, I think everyone has different characteristics that they think are part of a good mentor. And I'm sure the three of us definitely have literally three different takes on what a good mentor is. So,
yeah.
I can jump into it. I think for me, I started my career in retail, loved the company. And I think for me, really the biggest mentor who's really helped shape my career was actually my manager as well. And so I really looked at my manager as also a mentor. And there's two key words that come to mind that I think really encompassed what she meant to me as a mentor. And one that's depth and also time. And so when I'm thinking about depth, she would push me to think about things I necessarily didn't want to think about because it might have brought a little bit of fear or uncertainty or imposter syndrome.
Like what?
What is it that I really want to be doing in life? That's a loaded question. And I've always wanted to start a business. I want to travel the world. But when you actually get asked that question with someone who's wanting to help you get there, I think there's a little bit of vulnerability in that too. And so that was a really strong thing in my mentor. And then also just dedication and time. She would sit with me, even though we had so many deliverables to do, to make sure I understood the why and the how. And so again, depth and time are the two biggest strengths I've noticed in positive mentors.
That's a good point. And also, Ishana, because you are so early on in your career, I feel I don't want to make assumptions, but I feel most of the mentors that you've had, I'm assuming, were probably higher level or more senior to you. Mm-hmm. It's been similar in my medical career so far as well, since I am still in training. I'm in my last few months of training now. But kind of going back to not in medicine, but more in my career as a journalist. So my interest in journalism was kind of later in life. At this point, I had already gotten into med school, and I actually randomly took an elective class my last semester of senior year, just as a fun class to take.
Relatable.
Yeah. And I ended up just absolutely loving that journalism class. And I was did I actually make the right career move? And so I ended up taking like classes in journalism like simultaneously in med school, like the first couple of years. I did not have any prior journalism experience, but I really wanted to get more like hands-on, like practical, just like journalism experience or internships. And North Carolina Health News was the first sort of news outlet that I worked with. And the chief editor of that outlet took a huge risk on me because at this point I was unpublished. I was like a no-name kind of person, right? And I remember to even like audition for the summer internship, I had to go to a local town hall meeting and like basically like write an article. I think like high school kids were protesting like the use of vaping on campuses or something like that. But like she took a huge risk on me to even give me that kind of opportunity. And it was a huge learning curve for me. But I remember specifically like the aspects of her mentorship that really helped advance my career and just like my skills as a journalist. So every single article that I wrote during that summer, she would sit down with me and with a red pen, literally circle all the edits. So like the pages were filled with red, right? But
Honestly, like I don't think I would do that.
no, I know, because it
That's
takes
like
so much
it's
time.
A lot of time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
takes
that's
so much
impressive.
time, but it's like you were saying, Ishana, it was like that dedication and time and investment that she had in me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so much so to the point that like I literally knew nothing. Like I didn't even know, like, you know, the 3 dots that you use, like ellipses, like when you are like breaking up sentences, like some of those
Oh,
grammatical
okay.
things, like
Okay.
I didn't even know like how you use them. And like she taught me how to do that. And that was such an informative summer for me that like her mentorship was genuinely like what taught me to be a journalist. And then subsequently I was able to go on to work for like CNN and, you know, write freelance articles. So that's a mentorship experience that really has stood out for
Well,
me.
I'm glad that you learned how to write because you definitely helped me with a lot of my essays
All your-
in the past.
Yeah, I feel like I myself have like gone to MBA because of like how much of the application I've had to write.
One thing which I noticed, which both of you said, that your managers were a good mentor for you and the
Yeah.
senior level people. But for me, one of the best mentors I ever had actually reported to me. So we had acquired his company. He was a CEO for that company. And after the deal, he became part of my team. So you would think that things might be a little bit tricky, but he was one of the amazing mentors. I think I learned more from him than he learned from me. So what I really liked about him that, you know, during the merger and acquisition, things are a little tougher, but how calmly he will make decisions, he will listen, even in the toughest situation. And he constantly showed up for me and for other team members also. And the way he listened, the way he supported, and I think the way he made me think on many of the things, and he lived servant leadership. So he really taught me how to really empower people and how to give them more so they can be more innovative and up to themselves. So I really learned all of that from him. So I think 2 things which really stood out in him and which made a good mentor and which I learned a lot, his reliability, consistently showing up, the time, the dedication he did. Another thing is that the reflection, he made me think deeper and let me ask many things that how I am doing as a leader, what can I do even better? So I think he definitely made me a better leader. And I saw that change even in the company as well, to what impact it had.
Can I ask, was that just through observation and like informal interactions you had, or did you actually feel that he was like formally your mentor?
So that's a really good question. Actually, he was not formally training me. And that's why I think the mentorship or good mentor, it doesn't always have to be in a formal process. I have many who were informal. This particular sense, it was more informal. Like it will, whether we are in the meeting, I will notice the way he is dealing with the clients or in the team. And then I will see that how much respect he's able to earn, the way he does. And amazing person, like, you know, and the way he will teach, he will ask questions. And he's a good listener. Like, he will calmly listen. So one of the things he really made me do because, well, he didn't make me do because I observed him. Then I also become a better listener.
I have a question. What generation was he from?
Oh, yeah. So he's millennial. So he was
Nice.
he was reporting to me. He was millennial, but he was one of my best mentor.
Interesting.
Because I think part of it too is like when you're so early on in your career, part of the incentive to have a good mentor is for career advancement, right? Like you want those like good letter of recommendations. Like you want people to have a good network who can vouch for you, who have connections. And I don't necessarily know if those people are always going to be the best mentors. I mean, I can tell you about like a failed mentorship that I had. This was like back in college. Like, so when I was at Duke, like we had a really famous like professor on campus. Like this was someone who would like give TED Talks, who, you know, write books, like everything. And so I emailed him like asking if I could like meet up and just to open the conversation and see if he could be a mentor. And like, I was really shocked when he responded right away. I mean, it was like one sentence, but I was like, still, like, I didn't even think you would notice this like email that I sent. And so like from there, I was actually like in as part of his research lab. But what I noticed is I basically spent 6 months working like in his lab, but I spent very little time interacting with him. And I think part of it was because he was just so senior and he was so busy that like we never even had like a formal one-on-one conversation. It was mostly just like when we were in team meetings together, you know, we'd speak here and there, but it was never like formal one-on-one, even though that was the relationship I was seeking. It wasn't reciprocated. And I think it was just because of like his seniority.
Interesting. I have a comment on that in the sense of, do you think also from your experience of mentors, gender has affected your mentorship relationships or comfortability with women versus men?
So I will say in general, like for me personally, almost all of my mentors have been women. You know, my career coach is a man and I like worked with him when I was a medical student. So I would say like he's probably one of the exceptions, but most of my mentors have been women. And that wasn't something intentional. I think that was just something that happened. Maybe it's just I gravitate to them because I am a woman and I can identify with them in a certain way. But like I can speak about some of my attendings who are in the medical profession. Like a big reason I ended up choosing headache, the subspecialty of neurology, is because of a really phenomenal mentor that I continue to have. And I've seen like how she balances like having kids, taking care of her large family, plus like doing research and like educational projects and just being an awesome doctor.
Yeah.
And so that was just someone who I wanted to emulate. Like some of my mentors actually like I see them pumping in the workroom, right? And so it's just nice to be able to like see. I don't think they ever have balance. And I think that's kind of like a joke word, like work-life balance more generally. But I do have a lot of female, I would say, mentors and role models who I think I just gravitate towards because I identify with them in a certain way, or that's the kind of life I want to have.
Yeah, for me, I think it doesn't matter regardless what gender they
Well,
are.
I was gonna say-
I have mentors of all genders.
Yeah.
Well, I actually would love, Mama, to hear your advice because
Right.
I think even for me, I'm about to start my job in consulting where unfortunately, like a lot of partners are men, only, 10% of women make senior partner in general in consulting. And so I know I'm going to have to face working with a lot of senior men who I also do hope can become mentors or role models. And for me, it's like, how do you get to that level of comfort to talk about things and grow from them?
For me, the way I think good mentor is regardless what gender they are. I think if they are able to create a space for you, whether they give you time. So I think if you think about taking a step back, think about it, if they can give you some time. If they are so busy and rushing in there, probably it's not the right time to become a good mentor, regardless what gender they are, right? So I think the first of the things I would say, and even I do even now, and I even tell my mentees although the same thing too, I think finding a good mentor is reaching them and finding out if they are ready for it. If they are not fully ready, so both sides will be frustrated, right? So finding the time and then starting slowly that conversations, not rushing in, because it takes time to build that rapport. So there are many sessions, many meetings might be just discussing and getting to know. So I think that mentorship relation builds over the time. So I think if you go with the mindset, especially when you're going to a lot of, people are busy. So you think about it, if they're giving you 30 minutes time, you might not be able to really tell everything in the 30 minutes. So going slowly And actually, I will give you an example. One of my early mentor, I was raising my family. You were young, really very ambitious, really want to grow. And she really told me, she was my manager, and she was amazing. She really told me that, Mona, you have potential and you can do all of it. You have to decide, do you want to just run and get it and tired and just like not fully enjoy it? Or like, do you want to do in a slower pace? Like, because you might not be perfect in everything. So you have to decide what your 5 priorities are. From there, you do 3, and then from you pick 2, because you will not be able to run to all of them. So you have to really decide which one you really want to run, which one you want to walk. So I think she really helped me to think about the prioritization. So it but she gave me the time. So I think for me, giving the time and the space, opening where I can share, have candid conversation really helps.
This sounds like dating.
No, I know. I was just gonna say that, like
I'm
slow and steady,
slow and steady, a space to be comfortable. This sounds like a date.
I mean, I guess it kind of is, right? Like finding a good mentor is kind of like dating. Like there has to be some level of compatibility between the two people, right?
Well, definitely. I mean, I'm thinking about going back to what really makes a good mentor. I think is also important if we talk about what hasn't made a good mentor. And I think the 2 mentors that I'm thinking of that weren't really as beneficial as I wanted to, I actually think stemmed a lot of from me and what I was putting into it, in the sense that I had one mentor at NYU who I got through the sustainable finance program that I'm in. And I was paired with her because I was part of this program. But what she did as a career was not really anything I was interested in. And so the quality of our meetings was just not as great because I didn't really look up to her as someone that I wanted to embody or do. And so I think our meetings became very surface level. There wasn't that level of depth. It was very inconsistent. So we weren't meeting frequently to even build the relationship. So I think a lot of, at least for me, what hasn't made good mentors is that lack of compatibility.
Sometimes I feel like that a lot of people go for the career guidance, like they think that's what the mentor helps. So I think it's really important to have that clear understanding. What do you want out of this relationship, right? Because I have people who has helped me with the career, but there are many people who has helped me with other things also, like, whether it's fitness or whether wellness, personal development. But you're right, in a lot of people in their early stages of career, they are looking more for a career mentor. So I think that time that you have to set expectation. And even many mentorship program, when we try to match mentor, the organization I work with, we look at it, what kind of questions they have answered, right? And what are their top 3 criterias?
Well, I think like part of this too, like who all is considered a mentor? Is our tennis coach a mentor? Are all role models mentors? Like, I personally don't think like all of my role models are mentors, right? Like Roger Federer is a role model to me. He's never going to be my mentor.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to have at least a relationship. Like who you look up to, Gandhi, sorry, like can't talk to him.
Right.
So like a mentor is someone who has actually influenced the way that you think in a personal matter.
So for me, I have interchanged role model and a good mentor quite often. Because unlike you guys, I did not have a formal mentorship program when I was growing up or I was early in my career. So kind of you pick the traits, what you think are good or impacting you or how you want to become. And that's become your, role models or good mentors till, we have the formalized program. So for me, I think many role models who might really not formally share their insight, but watching them, I adopted those things. So
I mean, do you think that a mentor, like, do you think like as part of the criteria for a good mentor is like being a role model?
For me, it was because I have to, well, now a lot of time when we, in the programs and all that we match, you might not know them, right? So that is okay because you do based on the traits, but you still whether you know those people or not, you try to match mentor and mentee based on what they're looking for. So there is some common ground, right? The same way, when I didn't have a formal process, I will look for some of the things. Like my manager in my manufacturing company when I was working, I was fascinated because she had also 2 kids. Hers was a little bit older, but she had juggled, and I have you till 2. So I was really seeing how she's managing. How did she climb the ladder? So she became my role model, but till later on, only she did formally become my mentor. But I was still watching her.
I think I don't agree. Like, I don't think role models are mutually exclusive with like being a mentor. Like, I just think I have so many role models that are not ever going to be my mentor because of access or resources or compatibility. But I get your point. But I think like another generational difference might be is I think even for me, when I started my career, like I went through a formal mentorship program. And I think that nowadays that is very integrated with how a lot of my friends are starting careers. Like you do get assigned a very formal mentor that you can lean on. And Mama, it seems like from you, like that was something that was like indirect, but also something that you develop just by having relationships with people.
Yeah, but I do think that now people should have a mentorship program and good mentors. But for me, what I created a toolkit, like, from learning different things, and I put it in my toolkit till I have the formal program. Like I was introduced to formal program because we didn't have a formal program. I didn't even know there is such thing exist, mentorship program or good mentors. But I still wanted to grow. I still wanted to learn. So how would I do it? So I picked different things for role models or good managers, bad managers, what I should not do, or peers. And I started putting in my toolkit, right? Okay. And then that's how I learned.
And it seems like even in your intro, when I was asking you what's up, like it seems like companies nowadays are wanting mentorship.
Oh, yeah. I think they do want because they know that it's good for financially also because the more you mentor people, more people feel empowered. The more people will come up with innovative ideas, the more people will support for the company's growth. You cannot grow unless you really help people themselves grow, right?
Yeah. Well, I think like that's probably a good segue into us talking about like how do we even find a good mentor? Because like Mama, you talked about like how for Ishana and I, we were sort of like even throughout school, throughout all our training, like we've had formal mentor programs, some of which have worked for us, some of which have not worked for us. But then, you have sort of sought out mentors more informally, right? Just through your interactions at work and like forming the connection that way. Like, what are some other ways you all have found your mentors? Like, I can tell you, like, for me, like, sometimes I'll just flat out cold email people, like people who I found cool or whose like work I've read. I'm like, I just like want to get to know you. And like, maybe this will be a mentorship relation that will continue. Maybe it won't be. But like cold email for me is like one way that I've done it.
For me, I think network, different events you go, different conferences you go, I meet different people like, or the university I went. So, trying to be connected with people and then see, some can be really good for career. Some, as I was saying, some can be good for something else. So I think network has been the way for me to find good mentors.
Yeah, I think this is like a business thing, like, because I was going to say network too. Like, that's like the big buzzword, I feel like, in a lot of corporate roles. Yeah, I think for me, I mean, LinkedIn is probably my most used, like, social media platform, honestly, because I'm just seeing what other people are doing, people who have connections with people that I know. And then I think, it's like you go to events, corporate events, you have these networking calls, and then that person knows someone who can connect you. Even, getting my internship and getting my role in consulting was a lot of networking. Yes, there was technical skills as well, but I think from a career perspective, and even personal, a lot of it is just who do you know and who can connect you.
I think I agree with Ishana since we both are in the business setting. I think networking and LinkedIn has been definitely good way to find good mentors.
Yeah.
If you had to name just like one or two traits about good mentors you have had in your life, what would you say? Like what kind of qualities do they have?
Same with what I was saying earlier, depth and giving time, like truly dedicating time.
I think for me, I will see a good mentor is where mentor shares insight based on your goal, not on their goal, and consistently showed up and meets you where you are, not where they are.
I think for me, it would be like empathy, understanding, and genuine curiosity. Like someone who is genuinely curious about who you are as a person, like how they can help. I remember like one of my mentors, the very first meeting that we had, like all she asked me is, what can I do to help you? That's how she started the conversation. And she left it very open-ended and then like let me talk and just be honest with like how I want her to be as my mentor and kind of setting expectations.
Well, I think that's like a good way to end it, right? That question of what can we do to help you?
Yeah.
And I think listening, a good listener is very important because I hear from all of you. And even for me, I think ability to be a good listener is one of a good trait for a good mentor.
I feel like that's our takeaways unless we want anything else from anything else from this conversation.
No,
you'd like to
I mean,
emphasize?
other takeaway is mentorship is also like dating. I feel like that was a big takeaway. So
Make sure you're compatible, take it slow and steady.
or for anyone single, maybe find a mentor and who knows, maybe you'll start dating.
I would love to hear from our audience, like how do they find good mentors and what are the qualities and traits they see in good mentors?
Yeah, I'd be curious. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for joining us on Free Takes. If something we shared sparked a new thought or opened up a convo with someone you love, we'd love to hear about it. DM us on Instagram at 3.takes, email us at connect@3takes.com, or visit us at www.3takes.com. And if this episode meant something to you, share it with another mother, daughter, or sister in your life. It's how we grow and how the stories keep moving.
I have a question. Should we record again? Ishana, don't play with your nose.
Sorry.
Should
It was like shushing.